Hello, world. Welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is the Rex Arthur Show where we discuss LGBTQ issues with an LGBTQ approach and an LGBTQ perspective in an LGBTQ plus planet where each and every one of us belongs to one or two letters in the 10-letter sexual alphabet LGBTQIAAP. And remember, it's an LGBTQ planet because even animals are LGBTQ. Even plants are LGBTQ. Yes. Do you know plants are sexual life forms? Yes. They are also sexual life forms. And they are, in fact, for plants, they are very weird because some plants, most plants basically, especially flowers, they carry both male and female parts. And you don't have a male plant running to look for a female plant to reproduce. It is all in the flower. It pollinates itself. And then there are some insects that help to pollinate flowers. And yes, then the wind also pollinates flowers. So it's just wonderful that a flower has two sexes and doesn't need another sex to help it out. So that's what you need to know. Sexuality is everywhere. Philosophically speaking, sexuality is everywhere. So we thank you so much for joining us. And today, we are still on, it is a feminist month or the women's month. And it is sorry, I'm very busy. This application allows you to be on so many things at one time. I like it for that. So I'm busy. You know, sometimes people, they talk to you. I like this application, Do Recorder. It's very nice. You can do a video even though you're going on with life, transacting and planning for things. So that's why I'm going on and off. All right. So we were just talking about that it's a women's month. March is a women's month. So we are going to be doing videos that cover women's issues every week, one video every week. And last week we did an introduction about feminism, and we also discussed about the fact that the war between trans women and non-trans women. And we've said that trans women are women. Yes, there are different kind of women. And of course, like, reason being, you can be a woman who has a penis, but hormonally you are a woman. So that's what you need to understand about the whole life of a trans woman. Now, this week we said we're going to discuss about the penis envy. And penis envy was a theory that was formulated by Sigmund Freud, I think one of the best psychologists ever, in my view, because he really took time to study the psyche, and I like him for some of his views, including penis envy. I know feminists don't like it, and that's why we are doing this video. It's a very hot button topic amongst feminists. They don't like it. And there's also a woman psychologist who cancelled out Sigmund Freud with her own theory of womb and womb and vagina envy. Yes, so she cancelled him out. But I want to bring a new formulation that will also modify both Sigmund Freud and Karen. The lady is called Karen. I want to modify. The modification is this: because sexual sciences have advanced, all psychological theories on sexuality are also changing. Yes, especially those that were not based on the current scientific findings that we are making. Of course, homosexuality is very easy to understand. Yes, it's just sex with men. Men having sex with men, women having sex with women. That's okay. There is no problem with. That's why homosexuality has always been in the world. But transgenderism, intersexuality, even though it has been in the world for very long, but mostly transgenderism and intersexuality, they have also been around in the world, but the science has been lacking for a very long time, and it's now come to the light. And now when it has come to the light, it is changing a lot of philosophies, a lot of scientific principles that were called to be science. And one of them includes the penis envy. When the penis envy theory was formulated, scientists did not really know what the clitoris was. The clitoris is a small penis. Yes, it is a penis, and it is an undeveloped penis. This is why some women have long clitorises. It's because they have a Y. It's like they have a Y. They may not have a Y, but they could have a Y. It could be because of high testosterone that led to the lengthening of the clitoris. And all men who have a penis, because you can be a man without a penis, like Semenya, all men who have a penis have a big clitoris that just has a urethra. The urethra is combined in that clitoris. The tissue that makes the clitoris is the same tissue that makes the penis. So we are one. Yes, we are one. It's just that we're in a spectrum of sexual organization. We're in a spectrum. It's a rainbow. It's a rainbow of sexual organization. By sexual organization, I mean sexual organs. How some people have very big sexual organs, others have very small sexual organs, others have both sexual organs, others have only one sexual organs, others have internal sexual organs of both sexes. So we are diverse, and this is because science has discovered this. So if Sigmund Freud was around today, believe you me, many of his theories would be formulated again. Some of them are still okay. Not all of them are wrong. But some of them will be formulated. So let's go through penis envy from Wikipedia, one of the best encyclopedias online. I love them forever and continue supporting them the best way you know how. Now, penis envy, penis need in German, is a stage theorized by Sigmund Freud regarding female psychosexual development, in which young girls experience upon realization that they do not have a penis. So, according to Sigmund Freud, young girls go through a stage whereby they wonder, why don't I have a penis? And somehow I also question such a I question Freud. I'm critiquing him. I'm not criticizing. Criticizing is different from critique. Critique is you give credit, but you also question. Most ladies, if you're born in a family of girls only, it means the chances of you seeing a man is very hard, especially your early age, because the only man in the house could be your father, and sometimes he may not even be there. So, what am I trying to say? That some women in their first formative years never saw a man's organ. They went to girls' school, girls' toilet, girls' everything. So they really don't connect, or they may not even have such an anxiety that they need a penis or they want a penis. But I'm beginning to see that girls who grow up with boys, or in a family where there's boys and girls, they could be a high probability of having penis envy, especially if you've seen boys around. If you're a girl, you're the firstborn, and then the secondborn is a boy, and then your mother tells you, no, you have to clean up your brother, and then you see his penis, and you're like 5 years old, and the baby is 1 year old. So you are there, you look at the penis of the kid, your brother, and you say, wow, okay, this is what boys have. I don't have that. So I think if you're a girl and you grow up in a situation, especially the first 10 years of your life, and you grow up in a situation whereby you see males naked, the probability of you having penis envy could be very high, because you'll realize as a girl that you don't have that part, you see. So it's another beautiful thing. It's that children don't know sexual organs that well. They don't know. So because they don't know sexual organs that well, they keep on, even when they see them, they still don't understand what they do. That's why even when I was a child, I used to have my fun as a child, I used to ask myself, but what's happening to this thing? I used to ask questions, but I didn't really go deep because my brain had not developed on the issue. So that's what I could say about Freud's issue. That I could add to him that penis envy happens to it's more probable in girls who have grown up in a situation where they have seen males naked, not men, and other ladies who they have never seen a male in their first 10 years of their life. They have only been with girls. They may have less penis envy. Psychologist, come and help me out and find out and do the research. Okay, let's go on. Freud considered this realization a defining moment in a series of transitions towards a mature female sexuality and gender identity. In Freudian theory, the penis envy stage begins the transition from an attachment to the mother to competition with the mother for the attention, recognition, and affection of the father. So according to Freud, this penis envy stage starts when the girl stops being attached to the mother and starts competing with the mother for the father's attention, his recognition, and his affection. And the parallel reaction for a boy's realization that the women do not have a penis is castration anxiety. So even boys, when they realize that women don't have a penis, they have castration anxiety. They think that, oh, even me, I may not have a penis. I may become a woman. That's what happens to boys. And this is why homosexuality is very natural, because it's easy to have fun with someone who has the same gadgets as you. Yes, you don't feel so. The boys also have that realization, and they have what you call castration anxiety. But what is very prominent in this paragraph is that the girl competes with the mother. She reaches the age whereby she's competing with the mother for the affection and the recognition of the father. So of course Freud was criticized by these people: Karen Horney, whom we look at a bit, Ernest Jones, Helen Deutsch, and Melanie Klein. Now, Freud introduced this theory of the concept of interest in and envy of the penis in his 1908 article on the sexual theories of children. It was not mentioned in the first edition of Freud's earlier 3 contributions of Theory of Sex 1905, but a synopsis of the 1908 article was added to the 3rd edition in 1915. On narcissism, 1914, he described how women develop a masculine ideal as a survival of the boyish nature that they themselves once possessed. So, in the book of narcissism, in the book he wrote on narcissism, he says women develop a masculine ideal based on their boyish nature. You know, when children are born and sexually are androgynous, we are all intersexual, hormonally, and some of us internally and some of us externally. But generally we are all hormonally intersexual, meaning we are hormonally hermaphrodites. We have both male and female nature. Because of male and female hormones, they make us like that. So, when we grow up as children, we are all androgynous. To be androgynous, andro is the word that describes a man, and gene is the one that describes the woman, because the gene, that's where you get gynecologist, because of the gene, Gyn. And then andro is the androgen that powers testosterone. That's why a man who is called Andrew is manly. So children are androgynous, meaning they have both the nature of a man and a woman, male and female. Then as they grow when they get into puberty, the androgynous girl now becomes more feminine, and the androgynous boy in puberty becomes more masculine. Now, some children end up being neuter. They forever remain androgynous. So even at puberty, you don't see muscles, you may not see breasts, you may not see beards, but they are male or they are female. So those ones they are neutered. Yes, even the size of breasts, thanks to quantum sexuality, is the new topic. Just quantum everything in science. Everything can be quantized. So quantum sexuality, quantum psychosexuality, quantum biology, meaning measured. You can measure the psychosexuality status of a person. You can measure the psychosexual development of a person. You can measure the sexual development of a person. The size of breasts matters. in your sexual determination. The size of the penis matters in the sexual determination. The amount of hair, facial hair you have matters. That is quantum biology, quantum sexuality. It's beautiful. And it's just started. Thanks to quantum physics, everything is quantized. Yes. Everything is quantized. It's unbelievable. So, because of that, so you find girls will develop a masculine ideal, women, because they remember their childhood memory is that they were once a boy. They had the boyish nature. And this happens to very many girls, especially girls who were tomboys. And then because of society, they become feminine, but because the first formative years of your life matter, because that's the foundation. It's being laid. That's when the foundation is laid. So when you grow up, you see these nostalgic trips we always have as human beings. It's because of our first formative years. We are always nostalgic. It's human nature to be nostalgic. And we always go back to the past. And sometimes it happens because, in my view, it happens because we are not having something to think about. Yes. Especially if you're not seeing development, you're not succeeding, you're not rising, you will be very nostalgic. But if there's a lot of activity and you are developing things, then you will be then you will be you won't be nostalgic because you're busy. Your mind is working. It is on very many things. So the chances of you being nostalgic becomes very, very slim. But you still remain nostalgic. It's human nature to be nostalgic. All right. The term grew in significance as Freud gradually refined his views of sexuality, coming to describe a mental process he believed occurred as one went from the phallic stage to the latency stage. So he talked about psychosexual development, but we're not looking at that today. Ours is about penis envy. Now, I like this paragraph in this phrase in Wikipedia, the article. Freud gradually refined his views of sexuality. So, what you need to know, our views about many things always go through refining. You see, there are two ways of releasing your views. You can keep quiet and think through your views and then write a book. Alternatively, you can write a book and then refine your views and then write a second edition that carries the refined views, then a third edition when you get another refined views, and a fourth edition. This is why we are doing videos. Like when you do videos, they're like books, So the first edition, the first time we've talked about let's say LGBTQ issues like gay marriage, the next time I'm going to talk about it, it will not be the same, because there will be new views and new ideas and new evidence that I will bring out to explain, and it will therefore change the first edition, the first video. So that's what you need to understand about it. Now, so what I like about that is that we are always refining our views. And in very many countries where they have very high placed professors, it is encouraged that you should always refine your views, especially the dissertation that led you to professorship. Always look at it. Don't get the professorship and forget. There's people who are professors for 30 years and you wonder, is he even doing any research? Yeah, so that's what we are saying. Do research, because the thing you studied or the thing you wrote about can change. Your views can change because of new evidence. And this is what happens in the courtroom. New evidence can change a case, you know, can change a case. All right, so I liked that part of the article. Now, penis envy stems from Freud's concept of the Oedipus complex, in which the phallic conflict arises for males and females. And of course, Carl Jung also had his view, but for Carl Jung, the Oedipus complex belongs only to males and the Electra complex belongs to females. Freud rejected this latter term, stating that he rejected Electra complex, stating that the feminine Oedipus complex is not the same as the male Oedipus, because it is only in the male child that we find the fateful combination of love for the one parent and simultaneous hatred of the other as a rival. So, in the reason why he's saying this, he's saying in Oedipus complex, the male Oedipus complex, it's a situation of you will love one person, but you will hate the other parent. You can love the father and you hate the mother. You will love the mother and you hate the father, according to Freud. According to Freud, because some people, they even hate both parents. Yes. And some people also love both parents and they are male. So it's how people relate. Yes, it's how people relate with their parents. So it's only in the male child that you find the fateful combination of love and hate, the simultaneous combination. But in the feminine Oedipus complex, it's not there. In the feminine Oedipus complex, women, the girl, the male, the female, loves the father or wants to be loved, looks for recognition from the father, and competes with the mother. That is feminine Oedipus complex, according to Freud. The development of the female Oedipus complex, according to Freud, begins when the female makes comparisons with another male, perceiving this not as a sex characteristic, but rather by assuming that she had previously possessed a penis and had lost it by castration. So he's saying in Oedipus complex, the female Oedipus complex, the female compares herself with the male because she believes that she had a penis before and had lost it by castration. Now, this leads to the essential difference between the male, female, and female Oedipus complex, that the female accepts a castration as a fact while the boy fears it's happening. So, it's just basically for Freud, he says the boy thinks castration is going to happen and the woman feels that it's a fact. But I want to modify Freud. Yes, this is a critique. I believe that the presence of the clitoris in the woman can feel like she has a penis, especially if she is really playing with the clit. You know, when she's really masturbating and plays with the clit, 80% she will have this feeling that she had a penis before, or she'll have the feeling that I want a penis, because she's playing with the clit, which is a penis. It's a penis. So when you play with your clit as a lady, there is no difference as a man masturbating. No difference. So because of that, you will have the feeling of you'll be very dominative and you'll be very penile thinking. Now, Freud felt that the penis envy leads to resentment towards the mother who failed to provide the daughter with a penis, depreciation of the mother who appears to be castrated, giving up on phallic activity, clitoral masturbation, and adopting passivity, that's vaginal intercourse, a symbolic equivalence between penis and child. Okay, so Freud is saying penis envy leads to resentment. The girl resents the mother for not giving her a penis, for not making her a son. She's so angry that she was born a woman. That's what I'm saying. These theories of Freud, I think Freud investigated very many women who were supposed to be trans men. Yes, they were supposed to be men. And they have very high testosterone. That's what I'm reading from this. It's just that he didn't have that science around, so they could not really formulate a proper theory based on this. But nonetheless, I'm happy Freud saw something. He saw something in ladies who had penis envy. Then they also depreciate, they don't appreciate the mother because the mother has no penis. She has no penis, so she's a failed human, according to that girl. And remember, girls are supposed to have a very good relationship with their mother. You see how homosexuality is so natural? We are supposed to have same-sex relations are more intact than opposite-sex relations. Yes, it's because of biology. But remember, biology is not external, not only an external. That's why feminine men can talk to feminine women. Yes, because they have the feminine aspect. So there's not only same-sex relations physically, there's also same-sex relations internally. We love staying with people whom we have the same sexual aspect, rather than people who have a different sexual aspect. But there are some people who love the different sexual aspect, heterosexuals. A man likes to dominate a woman, and there are women who like being dominated by a man. Yes, that is a heterosexual, internal heterosexual relations, whereby the masculine aspect is attracted to the feminine aspect, and the feminine aspect is attracted to the masculine aspect. But in nature, mothers are supposed to stay with their daughters. So that means internal same-sex relations, whereby the same sex, both externally and internally, they connect with each other. And that's why father, like they say, like father like son. It's because the aspect, he's a man and the son is a man. So what the father does, 80% the son can do. But it's not that he can do it. Yes, that's what you need to understand. Because even the mother is involved in developing the personality of the child. So that's what you need to know. All right. Then number 3, giving up on phallic activity. So these girls give up on clitoral masturbation because of penis envy. They have realized when they have been playing with the clitoris, they get tired. And remember, Oedipus complex, the female Oedipus complex, is about looking for a phallus. That's why the girl looks for the father, because she's looking for the phallus. She has realized she doesn't have a phallus. And then now she doesn't want to see anybody who has no phallus, including the mother. And then knows the father has a phallus. So she goes to look for attention from him so that she can now receive the phallus by adopting vaginal sex. That's what Freud is saying. The woman stops being active and starts being passive. So she's a receiver. So she's having sex and receiving. She wants now to receive the phallus. She stops playing with her phallus. Yes, the clitoris is a dick. She stops playing with it. Then lastly, as penis envy leads to a symbolic equivalence between penis and child. That's what I've already explained. Now, this envy towards the penis leads to various psychical consequences according to Freud. One such is a sense of inferiority after becoming aware of the wound inflicted upon her narcissism. Initially attempting to explain this lack of a penis as a punishment towards her, she later realizes the universality of her female situation and as a result begins to share the concept that men have towards women as a lesser in the important respect of a lack of a penis, and so insists upon being like a man. Another consequence is the formation of the character trait of jealousy through the displacement of the abandoned penis envy upon maturation. Freud concludes this from considering the common female fantasy of a child being beaten to be a confession of masturbation, with the child representing the clitoris. So there are women who fantasize, they have a fantasy of a child being beaten, and this beating is beating the clitoris to kind of make them mature. A third consequence of penis envy involves the discovery of the inferiority of this clitoris, suggested through the observation that masturbation is further removed from females than from males. This, according to Freud, because clitoral masturbation is a masculine activity that is slowly replaced through puberty and shortly after discovering the penis envy, in an attempt to make room for the female's femininity by transitioning the erotogenic zone from the clitoris to the vagina. So Freud had this belief, and this is where I depart from Freud. He had this belief that people do what? They transition. We all transition. So we transition from the erotogenic zone. What he's saying, people now change the erotogenic zone, the zone that gives them erotic joy. So for the girl, she stops playing with her clit, and then she now focuses on being a woman to receive phallus, and that's now when she goes to the vagina. So she no longer has fun with the clitoris and now has fun with the vagina. Now, where I depart from Sigmund Freud from that, and therefore I agree with the feminist that he is a heteronormative academic, is there are women who have married to women for over 50 years and they look very happy. They have stayed together and they are playing with each other. They don't even need a phallus. Yes. So they don't need a dick. They are happy. And there are men who have stayed together, though for men it's a bit rare, but it happens. You can be a man and you stay with your fellow man without a vagina. Yes, it's possible. And they are there. I mean, look at Elton John. He's going on with life with his husband. And so it's possible to stay without a vagina, and it's possible to stay without a dick. So that's where I go away from Sigmund Freud. And Sigmund Freud is because of the heteronormative situation he was in. He was always thinking heteronormatively. So even the theories he formulated were formulated in that heteronormative mindset. Because this is basically saying any girl or any woman who masturbates is a child and should transition to be a woman. That's wrong. That's putting women in a box. And women, no, whether you play with your clitoris, whether you play with your vagina, whether you play with nothing, you are when you are 40 years old, you are a mature woman. Yes. And how you're living your life, it is who you are. That's why you have asexuals. Yes, there are women who don't need sex. They have a low sex drive. They can stay without sex for 10 years. I've read that on Facebook. 15 years, no sex. So you ask yourself, what's wrong with that? Even me, I wonder, how is that? And then what about my in the gay community, men? Oh my. Someone will tell you I've not had sex for 2 years. And like, what? Yes, it's possible. And of course, for me, I tend to be very sexual. It's not easy. I cannot stay for even for a very long time without sex. I mean, it's what I like. So that's what people need to understand about human beings. We are different. Some of us are asexual, some of us are not asexual. So that's where I depart from Sigmund Freud. I don't support that so-called transition. Yes, I don't believe it's there. If you're a lady and you want to leave clitoral masturbation so that you can now receive phallus or have sex, phallic, whereby you're penetrated, then it means you can, either you're bisexual if you're going to look for a man, or you're just a femme, a femme or a stem who wants to be penetrated with a dildo. Yeah, it's okay. So do what you want. That is my philosophy these days. Do what you want. Do what you feel makes you happy. Yeah, good. So Freud considered that in normal female development, penis envy transformed into the wish of a man and or a baby. So for Freud, when the woman becomes an adult, the penis envy transforms into a wish of a man or a baby. Remember, penis envy happens when you are in puberty. Now, when the lady becomes an adult, penis envy has not left. So it now transforms into a wish for a man. Now she wants a man or she wants a baby. I've liked how it has been written here. And or a baby. Now for many lesbians, they belong to the one baby. They just want a baby. And once they get a baby, they don't need a man. And for straight women, they want a man. Once they get a man, even if they get a baby, that's okay. But if they don't get a baby, it's still okay. They are still with a man. They got what they wanted. Then others want a man and a baby. So when they get that, that is okay. So that's what Sigmund is saying. The envy converts into wishes. Now, Carl Abraham differentiated the two types of adult women as wish fulfilling and vindictive. The former were dominated by fantasies of having or becoming a penis, singing, dancing, performing women who felt that their acts are magically incorporated the phallus. The latter sought revenge on the male through humiliation, deprivation, whether by removing the man from the penis or the penis from the man. Yes, so there are some women. According to Carl Abraham, he saw two adult women. He found one group of women who are wish fulfilling. They really want to have a penis, or they want to become a penis, and they would dance and perform in acts that felt like, oh yes, now I'm a penis, or now I'm going to get a penis, And then the other women, the vindictive, these ones want to revenge. I don't have a penis, and now I hate it. And so if they meet a man, they don't even want to think about his penis, and they even want to remove the penis from the man. And it has happened. Very many stories in Africa, women chop off men's penises. The husbands, they have. Yes, it happens. Now let's look at the criticisms, and then we're done with this video. He was criticized by Karen Honey and others, and they say this guy Jack says it's in the conscience of women, and then Ernest Jones attempted to remedy Freud's initial theory penis by giving three alternative meanings. The wish to acquire penis, usually by swallowing it and retaining it within the body, often converting it into a baby. The wish to possess a penis in the clitoric region. Of course, we've explained the clitoris is a penis, is a small penis. And the adult wish to enjoy a penis in intercourse. So there's that wish to enjoy the penis in sex. Yeah, so he's now giving meaning. He's interpreting Sigmund Freud's theory of penis envy, according to him, that it also means someone just wants to enjoy a penis. So that's why they have penis envy. Now let's focus on the feminist part, because this is the main discussion, is where we are focusing on. Now, the females, in Freud's theory, the female sexual center shifts from the clitoris to the vagina during a heterosexual life event. Freud believed in a duality between how genders construct mature sexuality in terms of the opposite gender, whereas feminists reject the notion that female sexuality can only be defined in relation to the male. I agree with the feminists. Reason being, as I've just told you at the beginning of the video, there are some males who are born in all-male family. Yes, they don't see a woman for the first 10 years of their life. Yes, that has a very big effect. What I mean by not seeing a woman, they don't live with them. The only woman they can live with is a mother, who, even if she has influence on them because of Oedipus complex, she may not have, because when she has very many boys, like 6 boys, some boys will be very close to their mother, but the other boys will be close to the other brothers, because the other brothers will be like parents to them. They will take care of them, they will show them love. And so this boy feels like, I love my big brother. He takes care of me. And he has no time for the mother, because the mother has so many boys. And she can't manage the house. It's just so much. Boys are very naughty. So she can't. Look at the Chinese. The Chinese give boys yin. They're not yang. They are yin. Yin energy. Meaning feminine. They gave them the feminine energy, dark energy, because of their naughtiness. So that's what you should understand. So why I agree with this feminist is because female sexuality cannot be defined in relation to the male. It should be defined both with no relation to the male, and relation to the male, and relation to the female. That's how you are to define sexuality. So feminist development theorists instead believe that the clitoris, not the vagina, is the mature center of female sexuality because it allows a construction of mature female sexuality independent of the penis. You see, if you focus on the clitoris, you don't need the penis because how can the penis cannot penetrate the clitoris? But if you survive on the vaginal center, you will it means you will depend on the penis. And in feminist theory, that means that you have surrendered to the patriarchy. That's what is it in feminist theory. So it's weird that the clitoris is the dick. Yes. And feminists are very, very macho. Yes, the most radical feminists are macho. They are phallic. And they run to the clitoris. Beautiful, beautiful philosophy and science combined. Because it's very weird to find a feminist who loves who is vagina centered. Very hard. Yes, very hard. In fact, the feminists that are vagina centered are cultural feminists. These are feminists who still can bear the cultural roles of being a woman, but they believe women should get equal rights with men. But the problem of cultural feminism in the fight against patriarchy, you can't win because you are really accepting dependence on the phallus. Yes. So that's why I even used to tell a friend of mine. I told a friend of mine something concerning that. Yes, not a friend. I actually wrote a book. Yes, long time ago. That religious feminists don't know what they want, because religious feminists are actually cultural feminists. And I used to get confused. That time when I was an atheist, I used to wonder, how can you be a feminist and you're worshipping the phallus? You're worshipping God. and a masculine God, a macho God. So there you're worshipping. He's my savior. He's my God. He's my king. So that's what you need to know about monarchy and employment. All of these things philosophically. You are in a submissive situation when you are an employee, when you are a citizen, when you are a woman married in the heteronormative patriarchal setting. You are in the submissive situation. And that's the same in religion. You have a God and you are his. You worship him. Or even worship her. That's patriarchal religion. So now, if I'm to write the book again, I will now say, no, there are some feminists. You can be a religious feminist if you are in a religion that worships a woman. And then you can be a religious feminist because your religion allows you to worship a woman. Secondly, you can be a religious feminist if your religion is not set up in the term of a dominant and a submissive, but rather you are submitting to each other. Both of you play a role, and both of you play even equal roles. So you can find, like in the STEM situation, in the lesbians, they love it, they fuck each other. Yes. So that is what you need to understand. Sorry, I know it's a feminist month, so I'm focusing more on women in these videos. So don't worry. I know some men will wonder, where are we going with this? No, we're discussing about women. It's Women's Month. And I'm giving my view as a gay man. I don't have an external vagina. Yes, as I said in my other video, I'm a male externally. I don't know myself internally. And so, but I have a right to give opinion. Anybody can talk about anything. Yes. So the feminists prefer the clitoris to the vagina. And what I was saying in that book, if I'm to write it again, I will say, okay, a feminist or a woman, a feminist who is in a religion that has no dominant or submissive. Like me, right now, religiously, that's where I am. I believe I am one with God. Yes, I am one with God. I can talk to God. And I can tell him I'm not happy with this situation. Yes. I can question him. Why did you do that? You see, in the dominant submissive religions, you can never question the master. You cannot question the master. But in the united union, religious union, you will question. You see, Jesus was a very relational leader. That's why his gospels have so many questions. People ask him questions. Is this right? Is this okay? That's how he is. He was relational. There are some leaders. Did you see Muhammad? No time to question him. The angel came. Period. Don't disturb me that I have no authority. I have it. Yes, Moses. What are you doing going to question Moses? They died. Anybody who rebelled against Moses, swallowed by the earthquake. No questioning of Moses. There is no part in the Torah where you ask Moses questions. Hi, Moses. Is this right? But for Jesus, he was so ready to answer your questions. So that the Jesus religion means there is no dominant and submissive. Yes, it is a union. But this dominant and submissive, you have to listen to the dominant. He's always right. Democracy is the united union. You see, the people and the leader are one because the people voted for the leader and he won the election because of the people. So that is oneness. So the people can remove the leader and the leader can even punish the people. So you see, everybody has power in a democracy. That's why it's better to be in a democracy than a monarchy. Of course, but a monarchy is also nice because in a monarchy, all you have to do is just be submissive. Everything is coming. We're going to give you water every day. So keep quiet. All right. Let's finish this video. I can go on I can wax philosophical forever. So a significant number of feminists have been highly critical of penis envy theory. Highly. Very important. As a concept and psychoanalysis as a discipline, arguing that the assumptions and approaches of the psychoanalytic project are profoundly, I love this, they're really, really telling you, they don't want to hear Sigmund Freud, profoundly patriarchal, anti-feminist and misogynistic, and represents women as broken or deficient men. Now, very, very beautiful comment by the feminists. What I've liked about it is that they believe penis envy makes a woman feel its inferiority complex, that she is not a man. So break down, cry. That's what it's saying. You're not a man. Just break down. Just forget it. So that's what they're saying, and they're not happy with the theory, and that women are deficient men. And even you've seen in my statement when I told you that women have a penis, but it's small. So there's this attack that when you have a small penis, you are a very weak person. You're a nobody. And that's now what happens to women, because women have a small penis called the clitoris. It's so small it can't do work like the man's penis. So because of that, women they feel suppressed and oppressed. And this could be the reason why there's inferiority complex amongst women. Just like it is with black people, just like it is with gay people, black people in a white society, yes, in a majority white society, they really feel like, it's like, who are you? You guys, what have you done? So you feel so low. It's so psychological and biological. We're going to do another video where we're going to declare. We already said it in the other video on trans women versus women. We said psychology is biological. You have to understand that. So when racism has a biological effect. Like you see the other video we did of diversity delusion. Why is it many black boys are truants? It's because the psychology has gone into their body. They drag themselves to class. That dragging is biological, but it has happened because of psychology. They have been fed with that data that you're so weak, they give up on life. And that's how the cycle goes on. So a revolution is not only physiological, but psychological, whereby you give data that you are a strong person. There is no difference between this. That's why we are talking about diversity. Yes, we are preaching the gospel of diversity so that people understand we are the same but diverse. And that the reason why there is inequality is because of the data we received that made us think some are better than others. That needs to change. So how do you change it? Of course, don't change it like this other Karen Horney. Karen Horney, when she heard this about Sigmund Freud, she's a German, and she said, over my dead body, even men have womb envy. So she wrote a whole book about womb envy, that men also want to be women. And I don't think it was based on fact. Because giving birth is not easy. But I can support Karen on this basis. What she could be saying, they are men. If you find a man who is womb envious, that man is on his way to be a trans woman, or is a trans woman. Yes, he has the feminine aspect, very prominent. That's why I did this video, to declare that if a woman has penis envy, if she has penis envy, it means she is a trans man or a masculine woman. That's what I believe. A trans man or a masculine woman. These ideas did not exist at the time. Of course, masculine woman existed, but not trans man at the time of Sigmund Freud. Because even look at Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc always wore male clothing. She loved wearing the armor. Yes, she was a woman, and I think she was a lesbian, if I'm not wrong. Or if she was not a lesbian, I'm doing that because of the movie. And when I remember the movie, she looked like a typical lesbian, white woman. Yes, we have stereotypes. Sorry. So when you see the short hair and the masculineness, you just know she's a lesbian. So, but it's stereotype, so don't take it that way. But when I watched it and I was young, that's what I believed. I just said, "Whoa, there is a lesbian indeed." And then if she's not a lesbian, she's a trans man. Yes, I have a feeling if we were to check Joanne of Arc's hormonal levels, she had a lot of testosterone, and that's why she was like that. So if you find a man with womb envy, that man could be a trans woman or a feminine man. If you find a woman with penis envy, that woman could be a trans man or a masculine woman. Some feminists argue that Freud's developmental theory is heteronormative and denies women a mature sexuality independent of men. I agree with the feminists again. Yes, the problem of Freud, he was leading people to the heterosexual lifestyle. That a woman needs a man. That's how his theory sounds. And that a man needs a woman. In the Oedipus complex, the male Oedipus complex, is that because a man needs he loves his mother, he looks for a woman who is like the mother. You see, that was all of Sigmund's theory was so heteronormative. So feminists are saying, and which I agree with them, that you're denying women the right to have freedom. Yes, women and men should be free to have sexual independence. I've already told you can be in a society whereby there are no women and you're a man. The military used to be like that. In fact, it's still like that. Just because women are in the army doesn't mean they are sleeping in the same room. They are not. It's impossible. The army can never work when there is that mixture. Yes, it can't. Because something will happen. Sex, heterosexual sex, that leads to children. And then what happens? The woman who was supposed to be a soldier is now a mother in the army. Go back home. Go back home. What are you doing breastfeeding in the army? You see, that's why the armies are like that forever. Even if they have women, the women stay in their quarters. Yes, that's why it's normal to hire lesbians and gays in the army. Yes, it's okay because they will have sex together and it's not an issue. There is no baby. You see, the problem is not sex. That's what you need to understand. The issue is not sex. The issue is what happens after the sex. Now, in heterosexual sex, if a child is born in the army, you can't fight. Not even the father. You have to go home and do leave. And imagine it's the heat of war. And you guys have decided to have a baby in the army. It's disaster. So, that's what I'm telling you. But in homosexual sex, you can have it and nobody even knows. Not even the general. So, life goes on. You can have the sex, then tomorrow we're going to fight. So you get up, there's no baby you're worried about. Oh, I'm having morning sickness. You see? Beautiful. The army institution. All right. So this is what Freud was too heteronormative. He's supposed to be uninormative. I am not even homonormative. I am uninormative. What I mean by uninormative is the joining of hetero and homo. So that there are some spaces which are heteronormative and some spaces which are homonormative. That makes it uninormative. That's why we are in a universe. We are in a universe because it's one space that is carrying diverse things. That's why I support uniarchy, whereby patri and matri coexist. Because you cannot destroy patriarchy. Neither can you destroy matriarchy. So what do? Make them coexist and live in harmony. Yes. You cannot tell women that you must, for us to have diversity, when you have children, do not have one sex of a child. Like you just have boys. No, then we'll punish you because you're not bringing diversity. No, have your children. If you end up having only girls, it's okay. Look at Obama. I'm very happy with him. We close the chapter. He's not disturbing Michelle, I need a boy. You don't need a boy. You have children. That's enough. They are carrying your blood. You see, the mistake of society in the past is that they believed that if you don't have a girl, the family will not go on. It's wrong. The family goes on even through the girl. Why? She has the blood of course, the mother, but she also has the genetic material of the father. That's what you need to understand. That's what I'm saying. Like Obama has daughters. They became daughters because of him. In fact, a man should know he is the one who determines the sex. His material determines the sex of the child. So he should never feel bad if he has a daughter. Never. Never look down on your child because she's a girl. You will cause many things. So what happens is the girl is there because of daddy. The boy is there because of daddy. Sexual determination is by the father. Blood material is the mother. I'm yet to confirm that theory of blood coming from the mother, but that's what I believe. Though the blood group science says both parents are the ones who influence the blood of the child, yes, which I believe could be true, because if the mother can be negative, rhesus negative, and the girl becomes rhesus positive, so who caused the positivity? It could be the father. The only reason why I'm here to do the research, it's very interesting, is because the father has the father has the semen material has no blood. But it has cells. It does not have red blood cells. It has spermatozoa, and that is what leads to it's non-bloodless. So that's what I'm asking myself: do fathers give their children blood? We'll find out. All right, so let's finish this. That's what he said. They criticize the social-sexual theory for privileging heterosexual sexual activity and penile penetration in defining women's mature state of sexuality. Yes, I also agree with them. I'm agreeing with the feminists there. Yes, clearly Freud's theory, the problem, it doesn't consider the homosexual sexual activity. And the problem of that, according to feminists, is that it makes that a heterosexual woman is a mature woman, but a homosexual woman is not a mature woman. And that's what they are saying, and I agree with them. That's what Freud is preaching, and it should not be preached because it doesn't make scientific sense. We already did a video that showed lesbian sex is the highest sexual pleasure for a woman. Yes. And not just lesbian sex, clitoral. Meaning women who play with the clitoris, they enjoy sex more than a woman who is penetrated. Is that bad news? No. It's a fact. The vagina has very few nerve endings compared to the clitoris. The clitoris has very many nerve endings. A nerve ending is an ending that comes from the brain. So when you touch that, you've touched the brain, and the brain is the center of the feel-good hormones such as dopamine that is released when you have fun. Now, when you penetrate the vagina, the woman enjoys sex, even the man who is a bottom, they enjoy sex not because necessarily of navel ending, but because of the beauty of passivity. You know, when you're passive, you're just receiving. So you're understanding the thing. Yeah. You know, when someone is talking to you, you grant like that. It's because you're being penetrated. By then, you know, when you're talking, when someone's talking to you, he's penetrating you. You know, and you know, I did this. All right. Yeah. So that granting of saying yeah is a sign you are engaging with the person. You can't talk because the person is talking, but you are engaging, and that's what happens in vaginal sex, is that, or even anal sex or oral sex. You know, you are oh, you see, you're receiving. So that's what you need to know. But the clitoral, even clitoris is like that, because when you play with the clitoris of the lady, her nerve endings also, the lights go on. So what I'm trying to say is, there is no difference between, even if there's a difference between clitoral sex and vaginal sex, people should be allowed. Don't put people in a box. Let them have whatever sex they want. That's what's my assertion. If a woman wants to have vaginal sex and clitoral sex, please let her. If she wants to have vaginal sex only, let her. If she wants to have clitoral sex, let her. So what Freud was supposed to do, Freud was supposed to Okay, we're back. So some feminists, I agree with them, and I support sexual freedom. I am a sexual liberator, and I am seeking sexual liberation, whereby you can have sex, any type of sex you want, consensually, yes, with no disturbance by anybody. And that's what I'm saying. Freud was a bit different. He was more leaning to the heterosexual lifestyle rather than the homosexual. And that's is where feminists are not happy with him, because for feminists, they believe it's the clitoris that is the center of joy and not the vagina, because they think if you have the vagina, it means you are letting the penis. See, that's feminist theory, and it's okay. You know, have your theories, believe what you believe in. You know, even science has backed it up. Is the clitoris has very many nerve endings, and guess which one? Each other body part has many nerve endings. The penis. The penis. It has very many nerve endings, especially when it's uncircumcised, because the skin has, it is sensitive. But when you circumcise the skin, you lose that sensitivity, and you still have nerve endings on the head, but they are not as much as when it was with the skin. Yes, that's what you need to understand. So yes, that's another topic, but we're not going to talk about it in today is Women's Month, so we're talking about the women's organs. We're not on male organs. All right. They criticize the social sexual theory for privileging heterosexual sexual activity and penile. Of course, you've read that. And Clara Thomas has written about that, and Betty Friedan has referred to penis envy as a pure parasitic social bias typical of Victorianism and particularly of Freud's own biography, and showed the concept played a key role in discrediting alternative notions of femininity in the early mid 20th century. Yeah, so Freud's definition of women was inferior, childish, helpless, with no possibility of happiness unless she adjusted to being a man's possessive, passive object. They wanted to help women get rid of their suppressed envy, their neurotic desire to be equal. They wanted to help women find sexual fulfillment as women by affirming their natural inferiority. So, according to Betty, the Freud's people and followers wanted to get rid of their suppressed envy and their feeling that they should be equal, because I think women, and it's also said as we finish this video, we'll go and look at why women are more neurotic, but there is a desire to be equal. And as I've told you, it's because the man is superior. The man does very many things. He builds, he drives, he leads, he fights, So that male domination, it's body language. First of all, let me tell you, data is everything. Everyone is speaking something. Even what I'm wearing, I'm speaking. And you will interpret it. Data is everything. This is data. I'm data. So we interpret data every day. So the male data is that a man does work, he fights, he builds, he leads, he doesn't cry, That is the man. That male data. And when women swallow that male data, it affects them, and what happens is they now feel they are naturally inferior. This is what Betty is saying. But for me, how to destroy inferiority complex is to look at your uniqueness and know that that everybody is unique. When you have that theory in your head, that belief that everyone is unique, you will know that you're not inferior, because nobody can be like you. So nobody cannot be compared to you. Yes, it's a fact. So because of that, nobody can be superior than you, because there's an area where you're good or where you can do something and you feel okay. Like women are not necessarily builders of very big things, big buildings, but they can do something, and they can do something. They can write books, they can paint, they can discuss, they can care. So focus on what you can do. It's just like the black community. Again, back to racism. You see, blacks may not be like whites in the sense of making things the way whites, whites are very, because of scientific, their Western science is theirs. They have understood. You see, science science is universal. It has no race. Anybody can be scientific, even a black person. It's just that because of the way the situation is, the structure of life, the West happen to be more scientific than the rest of us. But it's not that we can't be scientific. You see what China has done? China has proved to the world that science is not white. Science is universal. Everybody can know something. It's just that we don't take time to study. But if we take time to study just like white people, we will know what they're saying. You see, that's why I discuss. Someone will tell me, are you white? No, I'm black. It's just that I can read and I take time to read. Simple. There's nothing to do with race in science. So when you look at the blacks, like in America, they don't need to feel inferior because there are certain areas they do very well. You see, blacks are very good in sports, very good in music. There are more black musicians who have made a buck, millions, than whites. Yeah, it's a fact. So, what am I trying to tell women and black people and even gay people? The oppressed persons, the grievance victims, is hang on to what you do best. Yes. And that is what makes you superior. And know that what you do best than the oppressor, that is your power. Make it strong. You see, that's why I'm happy with Jay-Z, Beyonce, Rihanna. Rihanna has come to Malawi and she has put a children's home. Jay-Z the same. So you see, he's using his money not from being a professor of nuclear science. His money from rap music. Very simple music. So nice. And he has built a home. Yes. And Bill Gates, too very nerdy, has not released a song. But he's also doing the same. So what am I trying to say? When you have money, it's really not how you got the money, it's what you do with it. And it's nothing like saying blacks are inferior. I know that's what you call quantum racism, Now we are counting how many blacks are in nuclear science. And then when we count, then we now say there's racism. No. There are some things people like. Some races like studying certain things. It's because of the racial diversity. Like music. How many white people will want to do hip hop? It's more than race. It's just what you like doing. And most black people like that music. So majority of the musicians in hip hop will be black. It's not racism. It's a fact. So that's what you need to understand. When you come to quantum racism and quantum gender studies, like where you have these 50% women working, it's okay. But as long as there's a balance, and not a rigid one, that now a woman has died, so and a man hasn't died, so fire the man, because now it is going to be 51% male and 49% female. So you have to fire the man so that it remains 50-50 forever. No, not like that. Just a liberal balance whereby at least it's 50-50. Even if a man leaves, a woman leaves, you don't have to rush to replace them unless you need to. So that's how you deal with inferiority. Don't focus on your weakness or where that person is good. Focus on what you do well and build it and just stay there. That's how we live in harmony. Yes, we will live in harmony. I believe it. I'm becoming more optimistic about life. And it's because I've realized we have to live with people even if they have different views with us. That's why I'm calling it a uniarchy. We are tired of the wars. People are tired of fighting each other. Just give me my space and we can go on. We can argue on TV, discussions, and having the debates. But first of all, give me my space. Give me my space to be who I am. All right, so let us finish this. We've finished the article. Very nice article by Wikipedia. about penis envy, that very many, according to Sigmund Freud, very many women suffer from it. But as I've explained to you, this theory is going to be modified in our century, in the 21st century, for one reason, because now we have studied and now we know transgenderism very well. We know that there are some women who have a lot of testosterone that makes them masculine. And if they involve themselves in clitoral sex, they may desire to have a penis. And so let's finish with all of those. I jokingly said last time in the other video that you can have a penis transplant. So I jokingly said if there are women who have penis envy, congratulations, there is penis transplantation. And here it is. It's a surgical transplant procedure in which a penis is transplanted to a patient. The penis may be an allograft from a human donor or may be grown artificially, though the latter has not yet been transplanted onto a human. The artificial one hasn't been. But the allograft is from a human donor. So a man can donate his penis to somebody who needs it. Yes, it's there. This is it. Look at the 2006 allotransplant procedure. It was done in Guangzhou, China. The patient, a 44-year-old male, had suffered the loss of most of his penis in an accident. The transplanted penis came from a brain-dead 22-year-old male. Very interesting. The man who lost the penis was 44, and they gave him a penis of a 22-year-old man. Although a surgical success, the patient and the wife suffered psychological trauma as a result of the procedure and had the surgery reversed 15 days later. Jean-Michel Dumenard, who performed the first phase transplant, wrote that the case raises many questions and has some critics. Okay, so this is basically penis transplantation, but I think I want to get the penis. It's not talking what I want. Let's see, trans men. Sorry about that. I don't think life-changing surgery gives transgender man a penis made from his own body. Beautiful. There is a trans man. Elijah Stevens knew something was different about him. Going back to the age of 6 was the first time I can remember feeling like something was off. The feeling followed him throughout our adulthood, and Stevens was assigned female at birth, known as AFAB and AMAB. And so AFAB, he was born AFAB, and when he became the first person to go under phalloplasty, this is what I was looking for, the bottom surgery to affirm his genitalia from female to male. This is the term I was looking for. Gender confirmation surgery, a phalloplasty, is a construction of or a reconstruction of a penis, and is a common surgical choice for transgender non-binary people interested in gender confirmation surgery. Good. So that's very nice. Look at all of these tummies, to sculpt the appearance of an uncircumcised tip, a penile implant to allow for erection, a scrotectomy to turn the labia majora into a scrotum, either with or testicle You see, another thing you need to know, the male sexual organs are the female sexual organs. Yes, the testicles are the labia in the woman, the lips. The penis is the clitoris. Game over. The only thing is the vagina is an opening that is for childbirth. Yes. In fact, do you know why the vagina is It stretches. It's not because of to enjoy sex. It stretches so that when the child is coming out, he can be released. Look at cows, they also have vulvas. Yes. Go and see the construction. We are animals. Come on. Wake up. Yes. The vulva is also found in humans and cows and mammals. Okay. So that's what you need to understand. All right. Can trans men get a hard penis? Yes, they can. We've just read that. They get an erectile implant. Yeah, I wanted the Wikipedia one. It's a construction of the blah 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 penis. The first one was done in 1936. The first female to male gender reassignment was performed in 1946 by Sir Harold Giles, and his technique remained the standard one for decades. Later, improvements in microsurgery made techniques available. So there are very many techniques: scrotoplasty, metoidoplasty, and what about, and of course, phalloplasty. And there is an explanation of the techniques. So basically, what you need to know, sex assignment surgery. Yes, so even transgenders go through sexual assignment surgery. So these are the surgeries. The surgeries include, and this is where we'll end: vaginoplasty, feminizing augmentation mammoplasty, oreectomy, facial feminization surgery, reduction thyrochondroplasty, tracheal shave, and voice feminization surgery, among others. Masculinization surgeries include top surgery, metidioplasty, phalloplasty, scrotoplasty, and hysterectomy. I think hysterectomy is to remove the uterus. Yes, because there are women who don't have uterus. Yes, they don't have it. So what are they? So that's what you need to understand. So anyway, what do we say in all of this? Penis envy can be cured even physically. If you're a woman who really wants a penis, you can get a penis through phalloplasty. And yes, if not, you can get a dildo. Yes, so that's where we are in the world sexually, and you should understand that. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This was part of the special for Women's Month, where we are covering women's topics and looking at feminism in very many angles and spheres. You have to understand the world is in transition, and we are like a transgender. We are leaving the ignorant side of life to the knowledgeable side of life. So that's why things sound like this. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me.